59% stated charge. It's showing me 148 miles to go 134 miles. It still wants me to charge to 80%. I don't understand why the car's telling me 149 miles to go 134 miles. It thinks I'm going to arrive at 6%, which is kind of what I built my calculations off of. I quite literally may be eating my words here. I got to be honest, feel like I owe the Ford internal navigation and route planning an apology. All right, you joined me back in my truck. It is Wednesday morning. And so the hotel did have chargers. I gather that they were charge point chargers, but the valet attendant, it was valet parking only. The valet attendant had no idea how to use them. He kept saying, well, my manager has the key. I don't have the key. And I assume he meant like an RFID key to activate them. And so I was like, oh, can you get them? It'd be awesome. It'd be great if that was available. Well, I kind of just kept running back forth, I'm not sure. And I had to get to a dinner. So I said, don't worry, never mind. So awesome that this fairly new hotel has charging. Not super awesome that apparently they haven't really trained their staff on how to use them or what to say to a customer. Like, it would have been better to just have a definitive, like, they're not available right now, or they're completely full. Like, just say something that is definitive versus like, should I wait? He's like, maybe I'll put your car right here for a little bit. And, there was no promise of this is going to be a 2-minute thing or this is going to be a 30-minute thing with no resolution. So we bailed on it. We went to dinner. So we are starting the day with 53%, showing 129 miles of range, 44 degrees out right now. So this whole way here to Boston, I spent a lot of time talking about how, I have to use multiple apps to be able to get things done, right? And, I got it, whether it's Google Maps, the internal nav, a better route planner. That's because I am looking for an ideal outcome that I know exists based on the research that I've done. On the way home, we're going to do something a little bit different because I realize I'm probably not painting an amazing picture for EV ownership for the average person. So on the way home, I'm going to plug this thing into the internal navigation. We're just going to follow whatever it says, wherever it goes, whatever the plan is. That's going to be the goal. So let's just see. If I knew nothing and I wasn't using any other apps other than the car to take me there, let's head home using this. So I got our internal nav pulled up here. Where to go? We're gonna go to work. Automatically add chargers. Chargers being added to the trip. One charger, 25 minutes. Let's take a look at what it wants me to do. It wants me to charge in Auburn. So here's what it wants me to do. We're going to follow it. I don't love this. I don't love this plan, right? I've charged at Auburn before. It's an Electrify America. It's a pretty long walk to anything in there, but I've charged there twice before on this trip to and back from Boston. So, I know it works, whether I haven't been there in a while, but if we look at, kind of this realm, and this is another thing, like, it doesn't really show, I know like a lot of the other softwares will then show all the other chargers around. It doesn't really do a good job of showing that, right? So this predictive line right there is where I'm going to end. There's where I'm going. So you can see I can get most of it there. Now, if this were left up to me, I know that somewhere right around here, somewhere in this area, Manchester, Vernon, there's a Tesla station in Vernon. There's a Tesla station in Manchester. I would have gone to Vernon. I believe it's 90 miles away from here. I believe it's 90 miles away from here. And then it's almost exactly half the distance home. So here's the good news about this route, right? This is the route I would have taken if I didn't need to charge and I'm just driving home. So, you know, versus when I looked at a better route planner in the morning yesterday, you know, it had me going some weird way to hit chargers, and I didn't like the driving route. The charging route was fairly optimized, but I didn't like the driving route. This is the right driving route. I don't feel like it's the right optimized charging route. It's going to do it. You know, again, this is a little bit of a me thing versus the average person, right? But I want to run down as low as possible because the energy that I have in my battery right now is free. Well, free-ish with the 43 kilowatts that I put in supercharging yesterday. And I want to charge the minimum amount possible to make it back to work where I have free charging to do it. So to just play the game and make it feel spicy, that's what I want to do. But I said I was going to follow this. I got to be honest, I'm already wanting to override this, and my OCD, ADD is kicking in. I want to override it. But we said we're going to follow it. So you know what? We're going to follow it, and we're going to have comments on whether I was wrong and I overmanaged this or not. So let's hit the road and let's figure it out. All right. So got out of the city. I'm on the Mass Pike right now. And one of the things I'm just thinking through here is, you know, a question, you know, I get from friends or if you're watching, maybe you're thinking the same thing too. It's just like, well, you know, man, you're nitpicking where this thing charges and you know, are you truly overcomplicating it? You know, is it really that bad? You know, how much worse is it really to follow this thing? And as I'm looking at it right now, I mean, I'll tell you, it's all subjective, right? It depends on how concerned you are with arriving at a place in as fast a time as possible or as close to, you know, a gas car as possible. If that's a high priority, then I'd say that it's a pretty big difference, right? If it's kind of like, yeah, you know, another 15, 20 minutes, you know, for, you know, the ease of doing this, I'll exchange that all day, every day, then absolutely not. Don't listen to anything I did prior. It's all asinine. Just follow the thing. But let me break down a couple numbers for you as I'm just kind of thinking it and looking at it here, right? So I would have targeted Vernon, Connecticut as my charging station to get as close to home as possible, right? I think I would have made it, the bailout would have been Sturbridge, Massachusetts, which still would have been another 20 or 30 miles further than, 20 miles maybe further than Auburn, Massachusetts, where the navigation is taking me. And the advantage, if you remember, when I charged yesterday, I think it took me 17 minutes of total time at the station. I went to the bathroom, I grabbed some food at the convenience station, I came back out and we unplugged, right? So I really wasn't sitting around there. There was no real downtime outside of just wanting to stop, grab something to eat, grab some water, go to the restroom, do all that. 17 minutes was the charge stop. Now, I manually calculated that charge stop, and I was manually calculating that I probably needed maximum 17 minutes, 15 minutes if I made it to Vernon. Maybe a little bit longer in the 20, 25 minute range if I bailed out in Sturbridge. These are all guesses, by the way. But what I do know is by going to Auburn, right now it's telling me it wants me to charge for 35 minutes there to make it home with 10%. And I'm pulling in at 28%. Now for the average person, like pulling in at 28% is probably a really safe feeling. you know, you still got plenty of buffer, plenty of reserve left in the tank. But you're spending 35 minutes, and I know this Auburn that we're going to, like, it's in a mall. There's not a lot of easily accessible. I guess the good thing is, if I got to charge 35 minutes in this location, I'm going to be walking for 15 minutes just to use the restroom. So that's going to eat up a good amount of that charging overhead, I guess. But I think that's the biggest difference, is I feel like I could have manually calculated this route to charge no more than 20 minutes. So just the charging overhead on this trip is somewhere around, and it's jumping right now. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm jumping. Now it's saying, based on how I'm driving, what's going on, 43 degrees out, whatever it is, speeds, it now wants me to charge for another 40 minutes. So it wants me to go to 81, and it also wants me to get there with 12%. Back to work at 12%. So I'm not really sure why it jumped from charging to 80% and arriving at 10 to wanting to go to 81 and arrive at 12 to spend another 5 minutes there. 10 feels like enough buffer, but you know, I think those are the inefficiencies that the manual route, or not the manual, excuse me, the internal route planning does. So, long-winded explanation to say, if you care about every last second, it matters. If not, it doesn't. So we'll check back in. All right, we're pulled off the highway here, and we're about a mile away from the charger here in Auburn, Massachusetts. This thing has been dancing. The navigation has been dancing from charging from, I just dropped down to 35 minutes. So this thing has been moving. It started at 35 minutes. It's spent about half of the drive saying an hour and 10 minutes. Right as I pressed record here, it was at, now it's back up to 50. This thing is moving all around. I am less than a mile from the charger, and it still doesn't quite know how long I need to charge for. Feels crazy to me that it's not a little bit tighter. It took me every ounce of energy that I had to be able to not just give up on this plan, because I did not want to follow this. Here's another thing, right? I didn't look up anything on PlugShare. I haven't opened the EA app yet. I'm going into this blind, like I'm following this charge plan on its own. So I don't know what condition this station is in. So we're about to find out. We're pulling in now. So let's see. It's at a mall here. We'll see what we see. And let's hope that this is a smooth transition. I'm also going to, once I get charging and get going, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to listen to it. But what I will say is before we unhook, I'll kind of call it and say, this is where I would have unplugged if I was handling my own thing. Interesting. So this took me to an EVgo. Hold on. Oh, okay. Ooh, we got a Hummer. There's EVgo. I panicked. I got nervous. I saw that there. So I don't know what we got here. Let's see. Are any of these 350s? 150, 150, 350. Don't know if 350 is on mine, but we're going to pull into this. That looks very much so offline. Let's open up this app and see what we got going on. I'm guessing that the 350 is offline. Now we got to bring up the EA app. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Badass little Hummer EV though. Alright, this one looks ready. Plug in first. Get up nice and close. Let's see if this has I don't know how you can see that, if you can see that or not, but hopefully that is. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, it's saying right now 1:35, 35 minutes to charge. So it's hard doing both of these things at once. I'm not kind of paying attention to either of them enough. Let's see here. Electrify America. We are at, let's see, 3 of 8 available. Yep, that 350 was out of service, marked on it. I am on station 6. So we're gonna plug in first. I used to activate first, and it's since been giving me kind of payment errors. So we're gonna plug in first. We're gonna go to there, and we're gonna swipe to charge. Screen says connecting to vehicle. It says initiating charging on my app. It says initiating charging. There we go. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Michael. I think we're up and running here. I'm hearing some clickers going. Man, it's just amazing what a difference. All right, we got here at 31%. The car said we were going to get here at 28%. So we beat that estimate by a pretty good clip. Ramping up, 80, 90, 105, 112, 120. I want to see somewhere in the 160 range. 155. Oh yeah, I'm not going to get 160 because I'm on a 150. Duh. But you know what? I'm not leaving a whole lot on the table on this 150, to be 100% honest with you. I might be leaving 10 kilowatts on the table by plugging into a 150. So to be honest with you, with big vehicles like this Hummer EV now, you know, it's kind of the right thing to do. I don't really need all of that. So let's see what this thing has going on here. Ooh, that's not what we want. Let's get her back zoomed out. All right. So the final thing here is it wants me to charge to 80%. Is what it wants me to charge to. It's saying 35 minutes, charge to 80%, 13. So let's see. I'm going to do a couple calculations. Let me get back with you. All right. I'll let you kind of see. Here we are. It still wants me to charge to 80. This keeps creeping up. Pulled in at 31. We're still pulling almost 160 kilowatts, 159 kilowatts right now. So let's see, how far do we have? We have 134 miles. It's kind of crazy that we pulled in with 70 some odd miles of range. I mean, we could have cut half of that distance off, which is just, it is what it is. I guess here we are, but. So let me see where I think I would be unplugging if this were me and I was not just listening. We're going to listen to it, but let's see where I would have unplugged. We got 134 miles. I'm pulling up my little form. By the way, I ended up that trip, just to show you, we ended up, it was about 48 miles, 1.9 miles per kilowatt hour was what it was. We ended up for that trip. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. This is just something I've created to make it easier for me to figure out how much I need. So I want to go 100, or I have to go 134 miles. I only want a 5% buffer. Though I did get 1.9, I realistically think I can bank on 1.8. So this thing is saying 62. This thing is saying 62%. So it's 62% I would pull out of here. Realistically, I would charge to 65. 65, and actually, quite honestly, it's getting even. I'm watching my percentage on arrival creep up. It's just creeping up and creeping up and creeping up. I think the battery is warming up. I started with a cold battery this morning. Am I pulling over 160? I'm pulling over 160 on a 150. Yeah, I mean, I guess this, spoiler alert, this is, I would have plugged into 350s. There's absolutely zero reason, if you drive an F-150 Lightning, to plug in to a 350 kilowatt charger. It's only 150s. You're getting, I might be giving up a little bit of kilowatts, but the time is so negligible, it's not even fathomable. This is crazy that it just keeps jumping up the way it is. So the fact that this is adjusting, but that isn't adjusting, is, in my opinion, a flaw on the route planning, right? And a big reason why I do all of my own route planning. So I said 65 and we're out. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna check back in with you when we're at 65. I'm gonna show you how many minutes we would have been here to get to 65. We're gonna ride it out to 80 because it says charge to 80. And then we'll see the difference, right? That extra 15%, that extra 15%, right now that's showing me, right? 20% minus 15 is 5. I wanted the 5 buffer. The car is telling me it would agree with me at a 65% peace out. So I'll check back in at 65. All right, let's take a look. We're not at 65 yet, but what I find is interesting is the profile I remember was a 10-minute boost. We're at 13 minutes in and we're still pulling 165 kilowatts on a 150 kilowatt unit. So might not have liked this route plan, but I gotta be honest with you, I can't complain with this charging session. This is one of the better charging sessions that I've had in a while on this truck, especially on an Electrify America. Let's see if this other one here is, that seems to be up and running. I mean, 13 minutes in, I'm pulling 166 at 58%. I mean, this is the fact that it's not telling me to boogie out of here. Talk about riding the curve, whatever little curve there is on the Lightning with that boost. I'm at 14, I'm still pulling 166, maxed out, giving me all the kilowatts that this truck can handle for its charge profile. I mean, this is unfortunate that I'm following the route and that the route hasn't updated, because this would have been a pretty easy in and out. So 59% state of charge. It's showing me 148 miles to go 134 miles. it still wants me to charge to 80%. I don't understand why it's updated. I mean, that just must be like a charge to 80 right in with a good amount of energy. I just don't understand kind of the dynamic thinking where it adjusts how much you need to charge more to give you more of a buffer to get there. But when that buffer builds up, it doesn't appear to be pulling down. It doesn't appear to be pulling down. I'm just noticing now that I'm starting to come off of high speed at 15 minutes. It just started to come off of max speed. We dropped below 150, but it's still holding in the 140s, which is higher than I remember. You know what? I haven't charged this truck on the road in a while. 2, it's been even longer since I've charged Electrify America, though it shouldn't be much different than the Teslas for this truck. I hope you guys can see this and it's not just a zero view game here, but 142 and change. We're at 62%. Quite honestly, this is where I'd be saying I'm good. This is where I'd be saying I'm out, but we're still going to call it 65 because I'm going to do it. But realistically, my manual calculation said 62. I wanted to build in just a hair more, call it an 8% buffer to 65. We're at 60 minutes, we're at 64. This would be another 17, right? How crazy is that? I guess I kind of pulled in with a similar amount because we charged for 17 minutes at the Tesla station yesterday. So that would be all we would need to do. I mean, we got plenty. We're at 162. We're at 163 miles of stated range at 64. I mean, we got plenty to go. Oh, did it just say? Interesting. Is this trying to tell me to continue the trip? Drive to the highlighted route. It did. So you know what? There was zero indication of that. But you know what? We're gonna do that. We're gonna plug in 65 is what I said. I might be living to eat a bunch of my words. We're gonna unplug and we're gonna get going. And we're out of here. God, that's gonna be a rough look for me at the end of this when my calculations and this calculation's completely agreed. Though I will say the downside is I did not use the restroom because I was looking at it thinking as soon as it got to that 65, that's when I was gonna venture in, although I'm not even sure if this mall's open. I will say, if you have a family and you're running around, you have kids, you're trying to figure something out, or even, walking a dog, whatever the case may be, and you're not just glued staring at the screen, there was no indication leading up. There was nothing that said continue your trip. It just went from charge to 80, here you go, to it just went ding, ding, and then it just showed you the navigation and nothing else. There was no indications that it was still charging through the navigation. Obviously, the car showed that it was still charging, but there was nothing in the navigation that said it was still charging. But here we are. We're at 65% state of charge. The car's telling me 149 miles to go 134 miles. It thinks I'm going to arrive at 6%, which is kind of what I built my calculations off of. We're going to watch that. We're going to see how it does. And I quite literally may be eating my words here. All right. Well, because we ended up leaving a little bit early, I'm going to pull off this service plaza up here because I got to go to the bathroom. I've been sucking down some coffee and water, so we're just going to pull off. Don't need to charge. We're with some slower traffic. We actually built up when we left Auburn, Mass. It said we were going to arrive back at my office with 6% battery. Right now it's showing 10% arrival. So I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to use the restroom. I may grab, it's 11:30, but I may grab lunch while I'm here, and then keep making our way back. But looks like I am eating a little crow on this route planner. Worked out a little bit better than I did. Still wish it had better notifications, though. We see right here, we got some of these apple greens. Looks like a combo CCS Chatamo. I think these are just 150s, though I did get, a 350 in the I-90 Surge when we pulled off in Team Ionic and leapfrogged the Lucid. So that was fun, but I'm pretty sure those are 150s. But like we kind of showed at the Electrify America with this truck, it doesn't really matter. We still get pretty much max power on a 150. It was up at the 165 and held it for a good 15 minutes. So I'm gonna hit the bathroom, I'm gonna grab something to eat, and we're gonna finish the last little leg, the last 35 miles of this stretch. I'm here in Milford, Connecticut right now, Service Plaza off of 95. And just like that, my 375 mile trip is coming down to its last 2 miles here. So I gotta be honest, feel like I owe the Ford internal navigation and route planning an apology. Though I would not have stopped where I chose to stop, had me pulling out at the exact same percentage that I would have done if I was manually calculating that from there. So not surprising, I tend to overcomplicate things. I like planning, I like process, I like data. So I enjoy getting nerdy into the details. I think this was a really good, kind of readjustment to realize that you don't have to do it that way. And to be honest with you, for most people, you probably shouldn't do it that way. You should just plug in where you want to go, follow the plan, and it'll get you there reasonably well. The only asterisk to that as of the filming of this video is that would be my recommendation to everybody with one exception. As soon as it factors in the Tesla network that we can access via the adapter or a Magic Docks, once it factors that into its route planning, then it is, unless you just want to get geeky and nerdy and figure out you want to charge here because of the amenity there, or whatever reason you want to not follow it, 99.9% of people are just going to plug in where they're going, and they're going to just listen to it. They're going to follow it, and they're going to just zone off and go. So we're making our last turn, and we are coming down. We're making our last turn here, coming down onto the street my office is on. I am at currently 12% state of charge. I am power limited to 87%, and I'm showing 25 miles of stated range remaining. So I think when we pulled out, if I remember correctly, it thought I was going to get there at 11%. We're getting there at 12. It thought we were going to get to the Auburn Charger at 28 and 29. It bounced between there. I think we got in at 31. So this has been over the course of, 180 miles or so. It's been within a couple percent. It has been fairly accurate to what it's getting. This last leg of 33 miles, once I stopped at the rest stop, I got 2.2 miles per kilowatt. And my total trip efficiency over what is now 373 miles, I've been driving or in the vehicle on for a little over 8 hours. and I'm averaging 2 miles per kilowatt hour is my efficiency, just driving the way I drive. Some city, some traffic, a lot of highway. I tended to kind of set the cruise around 70 miles an hour on the highway. So you know what? Pretty impressed with the route planning. Here we are pulling into the office. Let's hope our free 60 kilowatt DC fast charger is open so I can top off my final 374 miles on the nose. 2 miles per kilowatt hour, 8 hours and 10 minutes of total travel time, and I'm arriving with 12% state of charge, 25 miles indicated remaining. Nice, by the way, I love this. I think this is the avalanche color lightning here. Was not an option. This was not an option on the 2022. Oh boy, do I wish it was, because I think just a slight subtle difference. It's almost like a whitish gray. That looks sharp. I love that color. And here we are. The charger is open. We're going to plug in and we're going to get that free juice. I think I'm going to set a one-time charge limit. I don't have to go anywhere really the rest of the week, and I got some office days, so I think I'm going to set a one-time charge limit here. Let's do 70%. 70% feels right. So we'll grab this. We're going to come right here. Set the one-time charge limit. I like how you can go individual percentages. You know, you have just kind of all of it. We're going to save it. It's going to update. There it is. There's that final trip. And we are going to go get plugged in and get going. Thanks for tuning along. Hopefully you learned something or just enjoyed it. I certainly did. I learned. I've definitely been perhaps overcomplicating this, though I enjoy overcomplicating things. So I'm going to give myself a pass there. But pretty good updates on the route planning on the Ford. A lot better than I remember at the last time I've kind of committed to using it. So that was good to see. So let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. If you like this, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, drop a comment down below, and feel free to subscribe and follow along. I'm just starting to document a little bit more of my everyday journeys living with a fully electric vehicle for the first time. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next time.